The Devil in Me. Let's cut straight to the meat and potatoes of this matter. Did I like this game? Absolutely. I loved it. I don't think it's any secret at this point that I have been waiting for a slasher-centered story like this for quite some time. If you want to get technical, I would say probably since they teased me with it all the way back in Until Dawn. I was especially appreciative of the way that they built this fictionalized narrative around the real historical figure of H.H. Holmes, similarly to the way that they handled things in Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper. Now, unfortunately, I think the biggest problem that I had that knocked this game down a few pegs for me, or at the very least, the thing that I seemed to struggle with for whatever reason the most personally, in my experience with it, was the cast of characters. They are a documentary film crew who goes into what is essentially a museum erected in honor of H.H. Holmes. It houses all of his memorabilia, information about his various murders, pretty much, I guess, everything that you would probably want displayed for the public if you were a super fan of a guy like that. Which includes, but isn't limited to, a faithful recreation of his infamous hotel. As far as the crew goes, we have Mark, the cameraman, Aaron, the sound tech, Jamie, the lighting person, Kate, the host, and of course, the director, Charlie, who is in charge of the whole thing, the whole operation, obviously. And what we are presented with as a group is a middle-aged man who has struggled for a long time, a lot of years, to catch his big break. Not only that, but he knows that he is running out of time to do so. This is a story where a situation where he's been at this for so long, he's been in the business for so many years, that he knows that if he doesn't get his big break soon, or I guess more accurately now with this documentary they're filming, it very likely isn't going to happen. In severe contrast to that, his crew is made up of young adults that are seemingly right out of college. Starry-eyed, fresh-faced kids with nothing to look forward to but the future. Plenty of time to reach up and take that big break of their own. They're obviously aware of this. They're looking forward to it. They're hungry for it. I don't know why, but there's something about this dynamic that I felt was very strange. I felt very weird about it for whatever reason. It never quite sat flush with me. It could be, very well that they choose to accentuate the point of contention with the personalities of the characters and or kind of the way each character personally chooses to approach and kind of handle this elephant in the room that seems to follow this crew around wherever they go. And what I mean by that is let's take Mark and Aaron, for example, to start with. Mark seems to be the backbone of this group. He is the steadfast pole in the ground that doesn't really tend to waver in the wind, especially for Charlie. He is that ride or die friend that just will do his best to support him no matter the highs, no matter the lows, no matter what the future brings. He is that friend when Charlie doesn't have anybody else. Nobody else in this crew gives him that sort of affection, I guess. And Aaron is the more quiet, shy one of the group, who we all know is going to find her voice and come out of her shell and really come into her own as the story goes on, which is all well and good. These are, individualized characters that you can follow. The issue with the other three is that their personalities are virtually the same. In that they hate each other. Really, the only thing individualized about them is their reasons for that contempt and disdain. For example, Kate hates Charlie because she is somebody that is full of herself and thinks that whatever success that they've had thus far should be owed to her. She is the superstar, and she blames Charlie for essentially, holding her back. He and his shortcomings are the reason that her superstardom and her getting noticed for bigger and brighter things doesn't happen. Jamie and Kate don't like each other because of their respective relationships to Mark. Kate is the ex-girlfriend. It seems to be a messy relationship, but I would at the very least call it a complicated one, being that they still have to manage a functioning working relationship, a professional relationship. Jamie, on the other hand, is a big support system for Mark, who is aware of the more, I think, emotional side of things. She sees a lot of those ups and downs, the good and bad days for that functioning work relationship. And for those reasons, the girls just don't like each other. They clash a lot of the time. Charlie obviously doesn't like the girls because obviously, simply put, he's a grumpy old man who's in charge of a bunch of brats that lack respect and any shred of professionalism. And, what that gives us is an entire front half of a game that is just nothing but hostility. Every interaction that these guys have, these three have together, is about being snarky, catty, bitchy, whatever the terminology you want to use. It's just about constant, knife at your throat, digs at each other. I won't say that it's annoying, but it certainly is unappealing after a while. To the point where going into it, I was like, I don't really like any of these characters. I don't really have a reason to like any of these characters. I think the only ones that I can emphatically say from the start that I kind of got into was Aaron and Mark, because they were individuals, they had their own personalities, and probably first and foremost, they were the quietest. Now, as per usual with these games are all about character development and growth, both as individuals and kind of refitting into that group dynamic that they're a part of. And you certainly, I think, get a lot of that organically with these games, as as the situation progresses and gets more dire, as the fight or flight, life and death decisions come more and more into play, and things get more dramatic and tense and all of those things. And maybe it's just me, but I feel like this game really almost emphasized that more than the other ones. It seems like it really wanted me as the player to focus on how these characters were changing. In kind of a way where, the other ones, sure, that happened, yes. But it kind of felt like to me like they didn't really want me to discover that for myself, to be like, okay, this is how these characters are kind of unfolding, metamorphosizing, what have you. This game just kind of felt like it was really trying to drive home the fact of, like, look, hooray, Charlie has learned what it means to be a leader and knows how to control his crew and manage them more effectively and all of that. And hooray, Kate and Jamie have more tolerance for each other because they've obviously survived life and death situations together and saved each other's skin, so they're more, I guess, understanding, appreciative, I'm not really sure, but they their relationship is changing, and I think the group as a whole has learned really kind of how to function together as a unit, and now they're, going on to hopefully those bigger and better things together. And it's like, did it work? Yeah, I guess, because at the end of the day, I think I did come around on this cast a lot, and by the end of the game I was quite pleased to have all of them live and escape the situation together. But it's not like, we started at one end of the pole and went to the other extreme. Basically, the experience I had was we started off with, completely abhorrent characters, in my opinion, and by the end, they were decent and acceptable human beings, I guess. So yes, I think they were successful in what they wanted to do, but it's not going to win any awards. I don't know. But as always, when these reviews come to an end, I have to answer the biggest question of, is this the one? Is this the chapter of this anthology that dethrones Little Hope as my favorite? And I have to say, yes, but barely. Yes, because I think the whole premise immediately jumped out at me and hooked me in right from the start. It attracted me to it. And, I do have to acknowledge that this game really put in the work to genuinely change my mind about these characters. Whether it was kind of forced on me, whether or not it came naturally, I don't know, doesn't really matter. The fact is I really did. You know, they're still not my favorite cast of characters, but I can appreciate the fact that the game really worked to get that out of me. And, you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to psychological and paranormal horror, I think that there are pretty rare cases in video games and in movies where those genres get it right. I definitely think Little Hope is a success story in that regard. It's definitely one of the successful ones to do that. But it's just really hard to beat my one of my favorite horror genres, which is slashers. And I guess I want to close this video out by kind of giving my opinion on the teaser trailer that came at the end of this game. You know, it's kind of a tradition for them to kind of hit you with their next game, the next chapter in the Dark Pictures anthology. This next one is going to be, I believe it's called Directive 2080 or something like that. Obviously, you know, I think we're going to be headed to space in this one. More of a sci-fi horror type thing. And I just gotta say that this, I'm hesitant with my reaction to this one. I think this is the first supermassive game that I've ever gone into not really all that excited. Not feeling like I have to play it. I can't wait to play it. And I think it's just because kind of by default, I guess, sci-fi horror has never really been my most favorite thing in the world. And I'm very, very picky about the ones that I do like, or the things about them that I do enjoy. So, you know, I'm just unsure of largely what I'm preparing myself to get into. But I guess I wanted to share that with you, mostly so that when the time comes and I do play it and I do review it, you know, I give you my opinion here so that we can see that, you know, when the time comes, if past me was right about what future me was going to think about it when the game has actually been played, when it's been played all the way through. Did I ultimately change my mind and like it? Or did my opinion not change very much at all? But, of course, we won't know until that one comes out. So I guess that will be when we return to the Dark Pictures anthology. Until then, guys, we'll see you in the next video.